Welcome back to the poker vlog. This is episode number 79, and this one is awesome for a few different reasons. One of the biggest reasons is that Andrew and I host a meetup game at my hometown casino. It's called Grayton. It's located about an hour north of San Francisco, and it's 10 minutes away from where I grew up in Santa Rosa, California. So my girlfriend and I, we made the drive from Las Vegas. We went along the coast, made a few stops there, and my whole family came out for the game, so it's really fun. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's go ahead and get started. Wow, holy shit.
Really?
Yeah, this is super cool. I just got into Grayton and we checked into the hotel room. It's one of the coolest hotel rooms I've ever seen. It's brand new. I think it opened up within the last year or so. I'll give you guys a tour real quick. Thanks a lot to Grayton for hooking it up. This was totally unexpected, and I'm super excited for tomorrow. That's when the game begins. I wake up in the morning and I'm excited to play, but it's also tough to leave the hotel room. I don't think I've ever stayed anywhere that nice before. Eventually I head downstairs. I arrive in the poker room. My parents are already there to show their support. They couldn't be more pumped up for the games. They meet Andrew for the very first time. I showed them his videos before I started doing them myself, so they've been fans since the beginning. In addition to my parents being there, my girlfriend also comes out to say hi. She's got a cat. For that reason alone, I think I'll keep her. My sister makes an appearance too. She's a fan favorite, but hold it right there, fellas. She's got a fiance. That's him next to her. His name's Felipe. He's a great guy. Couldn't be happier that my sister's marrying him. Unlike some of her other boyfriends, they were a real piece of... well, they were less great. Anyway, just cool that my family's there and able to meet some of the YouTube viewers. This is my dad talking to Hall of Fame meetup gamer Brian Stafford. He lives in San Diego, but he's flown out to Vegas multiple times to play with us, and now he's come to meetup games in Seattle and Northern California as well. It's time to play poker. The room's absolutely packed. The staff does an amazing job getting everybody seated right away. We had 82 people on the list for the game, all trying to get some Bradley dollars. I take my seat, buying in for $1,000. Everything's gone great on this trip so far. I just want to book a win, especially with my family here. Speaking of which, my Uncle John makes it out and grabs a seat at a separate table. Felipe decides at the last minute to jump in the game too. He's at my table. It's the first time he's ever played live poker at a casino. I'm nervous for him, but I also think it's awesome that he's taking a shot. Most of what he knows about poker has come from watching my videos. So he's doomed. Right away I get involved in some action, picking up ace-9 suited under the gun +2, I make it 15. Player to my left calls, Felipe calls in the cutoff. Three of us see the flop, it's Jack 10-5, two clubs. I've got the flush draw with an over and a backdoor straight draw. I bet 25. The middle position player calls, Felipe folds because he knows I'm going to drill something. The turn is the ace of spades, we got it all. I bet 70. The opponent folds, we win it, and we're off to a good start. Here I've got ace-7 of spades in the hijack, I open to 15. Cutoff calls, the button calls. Now my sister's fiance 3-bets to 60 from the small blind with money that he borrowed from me.
3-bet on my future brother-in-law.
Alright. If we were deeper I'd call, but he only started the hand with 275. I let it go, everyone else folds, and Felipe shows king-queen of diamonds. Kind of in shock that he 3-bet that light. I like the decision to 3-bet a lot. He should have made it a little bit bigger though. And he should have done it to somebody else. Very next hand I pick up pocket kings in middle position, under the gun +1 opens at 20. I 3-bet to 65, hoping it'll look like I'm upset about that last hand. I don't get a caller, everyone folds, we take it down pre-flop. The next hand after that I pick up pocket jacks under the gun +2 and raise to 15. The hijack calls, the action's on Felipe in the cutoff. He 3-bets me again to 60, which I'm kind of annoyed by.
You're really pissing me off, Felipe.
Why is that?
I'm trying to win here.
I'm sorry. You're going to win probably.
2 callers.
I saw what he 3-bet me with last time, so I contemplate 4-betting, but I go with the call for 45 more. The hijack also calls. 3 of us see the flop. It's a good one. It comes Jack 5-3 with 2 clubs. That's what you get for trying to marry my sister. I check, try to set the trap. The hijack checks. Felipe doesn't fall for it. He checks back. The turn is the deuce of spades. Can't let this check through again. I lead out for 80. The hijack folds. Felipe makes the call, so we're heads up. The river is the 8 of diamonds. Got about the best run out that I could hope for. I fire for 200. Really don't think he's got much of a hand the way it played. He ends up folding, which I had mixed feelings about. I enjoy winning, but I'd like for him to win himself and have fun playing. I show him that I had the goods.
Good fold, good fold.
Top set.
That's
What
literally
a
what I
brutal
put you
family.
on.
That's the only thing you can have is like
Literally what I put you on.
That's for family spite.
Got him. That's gonna be the title of the vlog.
Giving your money back.
Top set versus my future brother-in-law.
God, thank you. Yeah,
That'd be the last time Felipe would lose for a while. He goes on a tear, and it's pretty entertaining to watch. He gets the double up here with pocket kings. He doesn't always have it though. He's not afraid to make some moves.
75 more.
Gets it through. Show us the bluff, Felipe. Show us the bluff.
You want to see it?
Yep. King Jack.
Dude, I would have bet my whole stack.
That was sick.
Oh my god.
He just wins pot after pot. He originally bought in for 500. After that set of jacks hand, he had around 180 left. Since then, he's run it up to about 1,000. He's playing a lot of hands. He's doing some unorthodox things, so I'm kind of worried one might eventually backfire. We end up playing a bomb pot. Felipe gets a little carried away with a queen on a queen 3-3, 9-3 board. He's got a boat, but he raises after facing a river bet and then calls an all in against someone who has him covered. It's coolered a little, losing the quads, and the session ends early for him. He had a good time, learned some valuable lessons that we all have to learn sooner or later, and he paid his tuition fee. Meanwhile, I've got Jack 10 suited in middle position, and I open to 15. The big blind calls, the flop comes 9-5 deuce with 2 clubs. We got a flush draw, backdoor straight draw, and 2 overs. The big blind checks, I bet 20. The big blind calls, the turn is another deuce. The opponent checks, I check back. The river is the 3 of clubs, so we make the flush. The big blind checks, I bet 40. We get the call. The good news is I turn over the cards, and we've got a winner. The big blind shows that he turned trip deuces, so we scoop that one, then we pick up ace-king offsuit under the gun and open to 15. Under the gun +1 calls, the button, 3 bets to 80. This is the same opponent that I beat in the last hand, and the same guy who Felipe bluffed earlier with king-jack offsuit. Somewhat embarrassed that he's only lost hands on the vlog so far, so promise not to include his name. I'll just give you 3 letters of it. Also, the 2 letters that are not there are vowels, and they're the same letter. I'm in a precarious situation facing this 3-bet. I have a very narrow under the gun opening range, so the button shouldn't be 3-betting light very often. Still, I don't want to call and play a potentially large pot out of position. I know this opponent is hungry to take down a pot, making it more likely he could be bluffing, so I put in the 4-bet to 250. Under the gun +1 folds, the button folds quickly as well, saying that he had a suited connector. I'm glad to win that one. Also, if for some reason that you guessed his name is Stovo, bad read, you should strongly consider switching to checkers. Time for one of my favorite hands of the night. I pick up ace-6 of hearts in the cutoff. I raise to 15. The button calls, we're heads up, and the flop comes 10-9-8 with 2 spades. I check, and the button checks back. The turn is the 5 of diamonds. We both check again. Things are getting exciting. The river is a 9. I really feel like ace-6 is good here, so I try to squeeze every ounce of value I can out of it, betting $5. Then I get called, and obviously I'm beat. Wait a minute. I'm in the value town.
I just wanted to say
0 respect.
For the record, I said he had ace high.
I got him. That was the last hand for me at that table. I had a few doors down, picking up king queen of hearts under the gun on my first hand here. I opened to 15. 4 players call, 5 of us see a flop. I'm third to act. The dealer puts out 9-8-5 with 2 hearts, small blind, and the big blind check. So many people in the hand. Checking a flush draw here is probably best. Be tough for a semi bluff to get through on a wet board. Someone or multiple people could possibly have strong hands that might check raise, potentially putting me in a tough spot. If you've been a long-time subscriber, you know that I rarely do the best thing, and that's why I make it 40. The cutoff and the button both call, the small blind folds, now the big blind raises to 240. The big blind is David Valdez. I played with him a lot. He's mainly a tournament grinder. He's a wild guy when he plays cash. He's been in a few vlogs before. Seems like he could be bluffing, but with 2 players behind me, I don't want to call with a second nut flush draw. Someone could easily have the ace-high flush draw, or maybe even a made hand that they'll re-raise with. I fold, the cutoff folds, the button makes the call, the turn is a queen, they're heads up, the big blind fires big, the button calls again. The river is another 5, the big blind shoves, the button snaps, the big blind says he doesn't have anything, the button turns over quad 5s, winning a massive pot. There's lots of action, everyone's having the most fun that they've ever had in their entire lives. I order a Lagunitas, it's one of my favorite beers and it's brewed in Petaluma, California, just a few miles down the road from the casino. A new dealer jumps into the box, we do a $15 bomb pot, I've got pocket 9s in middle position. 9 of us see the flop, it comes Jack, Jack 5 rainbow, checks to me. If no one has a jack here, then I'm likely to have the best hand, but there won't be too many turns that I'll want to see. I take a stab at it to hopefully take it down right now. The cutoff calls, David Valdez calls from under the gun +1. 3 of us see the turn, it's the ace of diamonds. Under the gun +1 checks, getting 2 callers on the flop, pretty much giving up on this one. I check. The cutoff checks back, the river is a king. Under the gun +1 fires for 130. I let it go, the cutoff makes the call. David shows Jack 6 for trip jacks, so he gets some of his money back. I switch tables again and I'm dealt ace 4 suited in the big blind. The hijack, whose name is Ticket to Tiger Tim, opens at 20. Full disclosure, I added that ticket to his name myself. It's just Tiger Tim. I defend, we're heads up, the flop comes ace 8-5 with 2 spades. Life's good. I check, the hijack checks back. The turn is the 9 of diamonds. Seems like a safe card. I'm gonna have the best hand here a ton of the time given the action so far. I lead for 25. The hijack surprisingly raises to 100. This makes very little sense to me unless he has ace 9 suited or pocket 9s. There aren't many hands he'd play this way, unless he somehow has aces, which is extremely unlikely. There's only one combo of that. Feels like I'm up against a bluff. Maybe I'm up against some kind of straight draw. Maybe he has just complete air. There aren't many bad rivers for me. No need to re-raise here, since if I'm beat, I want to give myself a chance to make the nut flush and keep the pot reasonably sized until that happens. If I'm ahead, I want to keep my opponent's bluffs in. I call for 75 more. The river is the jack of clubs, not what I was hoping to see. I check, the opponent bets 175. So I think there's a good chance my opponent was bluffing before. I call, turns out he was not. He has the last 2 aces in the deck. Those are good. After being up 400 at the high point, I'm now down 200 on the session. Clearly time for tequila shots. It's also time for queen 10 suited in the hijack. It's a straddle pot. Under the gun +2, limps in for 10. I raise to 50. The button calls. His name's Aaron. He's a certified nutball. A few minutes prior, he went all in blind under the gun for 2,000. No one called, and he won $7. The under the gun +2 player also calls the 50. 3 of us are going to the flop. Comes king 8-3 with 2 spades. Not a bad one for us. Under the gun +2 checks. I bet 100. The button calls. Under the gun +2 folds. The turn is another king. I check because if I bet, I'm afraid Aaron's going to call. He doesn't really like to fold very much. The button checks back. The river is the jack of spades, so we make the queen high flush. Definitely going to value bet, but I need to determine the right size. I know Aaron likes to call light sometimes. He also said that he wanted to make the vlog. He knows I'll have a better chance if he calls and the pot is bigger. These factors make me lean towards betting slightly larger than I might normally. I bet 250. Let's see what happens.
Andrew tried to bluff me. He tried.
Did he win?
No, it didn't work. Alright, this is for you guys, just because I want you guys to love me, so here you go. No!
Probably gonna win.
Why? Why?
This would be the greatest slow roll. Quads. No. He got there. That's why Brad is Brad.
I win a nice pot there. I'm happy because I'm unstuck. Soon after I get ace-queen suited in middle position. It's a straddle pot. under the gun +2 opens to 35. I call, the cutoff calls, the small blind calls as well. It's a 4-way pot. The flop is ace-10-3 with 2 spades and a club. Checks to me, I bet 95. Folds back to the pre-flop raiser. He makes the call. The turn is the jack of clubs. We've got top pair with a few good draws. Under the gun +2 checks. I'm on the fence about whether to check or bet. If I bet, I don't think I can get called by many worse hands. My opponent only check called flop after being the pre-flop aggressor, and he checked again on the turn, so it's unlikely he's going to have an ace or anything else to call with. It feels like he has kings or queens. Maybe he could find a call with one of those hands, but I check back anyway. The river is the 7 of diamonds. Under the gun +2 checks for a 3rd time. I should have the best hand with this action. I bet small, hoping to get a call from a high pocket pair that didn't make a set. He folds. The dealer pushes us to the pot. Once again, we're up about 400 on the session. Here I pick up pocket deuces on the button. It's another straddle pot. I open to 35. Aaron calls in the big blind. We're heads up. Before the flop comes out, Aaron bets 50 in the dark. The flop comes ace-jack-7. Not a great one for us. I let it go. Aaron gets me back.
King 10, I like your hand better.
I know. I was getting there for sure.
Oh, 7?
Revenge. That's how it's done. I forget that hand where I lost a bunch of money. I gotta kind of.
I don't know if this is gonna make it, man.
Small pot.
Small pot. They don't need to see that.
I switched tables a few more times after that, but I don't get into any interesting situations. Still awesome to meet and hang out with everyone. I check in on Andrew. He's up piles of cash. He's living the dream. Shortly after, we call it a night. Just cashed out here, and this was one of the most fun meetup games that we've ever done. I was pretty nervous about playing poker because I didn't want to get slaughtered at the hometown meetup game, but I won 220. It's kind of a roller coaster a little bit. I got to play with my brother, my future brother-in-law, and my whole family came out, so that makes this pretty special for me. We go to the lobby bar. There's a whole group of us that want to keep the party going. It's one of my favorite parts of the meetup games. We get to hang out and talk with everyone over a few drinks. My brother shows up, my girlfriend, and the rest of my family join us as well. After that, my family, Andrew and I, head to the steakhouse. It's called 630 Park. It's an amazing restaurant that you should definitely try if you ever make it out to Grayton. We celebrate a fantastic night with wine and the best meal I'd have on the whole trip. That's it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please remember to hit the like and subscribe buttons because it helps out the channel a ton. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to let me know in the comment section because I'm happy to get back to you. I want to give a huge thanks to Grayton Casino. They hooked Andrew and I up big time. You guys saw that hotel room. That was the nicest hotel room I've ever stayed in. That was super cool. The whole poker staff did a great job of facilitating the games. Everyone got in relatively quickly, so it was a big success. We'll definitely be back there. Thanks to everybody who came out to the game. My family had a great time as well, so hope you guys did too. The next meetup game that we're doing is going to be at the Texas Card House in Austin. It's going to be January 22nd and January 23rd. Andrew and I will be playing 5-5 on the 22nd, and then on the 23rd, we're going to be playing our first ever meetup game tournament. So I believe it's going to be $120 buy-in, and then we'll play some 2-3 no limit after that. So if you're in the Austin area, then come hang out, have some drinks, and play poker with Andrew and I. Hope you're all doing well. Good luck at the tables. I'll see you guys next time.